Admiral Quexton S. final transmission to Commander Zixtella was delivered with the cold precision of an execution order. You have 72 hours to achieve complete victory on Earth or face a court-martial for military incompetence. The High Council considers failure on a primitive world to be unacceptable. Use whatever force necessary. As the hologram faded, Zixtella stared at the tactical display that showed the true scope of his predicament. Of the 50,000 troops deployed to Earth, nearly 20,000 were missing, destroyed, or cut off from communication. The surviving forces were trapped in isolated positions, afraid to move through any terrain that contained vegetation. Sir, Subcommander Vextar approached cautiously. Intelligence has completed analysis of the human tactics. The report is ... enlightening. Explain. The human special forces have created an integrated defense network using the planetary environment itself. They have effectively turned Earth's jungle regions into a single, massive military installation. Our forces are not fighting scattered primitives hiding in vegetation. We are fighting a sophisticated defensive system that has been developed over thousands of years. Zixtella's mandibles clicked in frustration. How is that possible? Our intelligence reports showed no advanced planetary defense networks. That is because we were looking for the wrong type of technology, sir. Human jungle warfare does not rely on energy shields or automated weapons. Instead, it uses biological knowledge, environmental manipulation, and tactics specifically designed to defeat technologically superior opponents. Jexinos activated the holographic display to show intercepted human communications. Sir, we have discovered that Earth's special forces have been sharing knowledge and techniques across their planet for decades. What we initially dismissed as primitive training is actually an advanced military science, specifically designed for this type of warfare. The display showed training facilities where human soldiers learned to become invisible to sensors, move silently through any terrain, and use natural materials to create weapons and traps. More disturbingly, it showed international cooperation programs where the best jungle fighters from every nation shared their knowledge. These humans have essentially turned their entire special forces community into a planetary defense network. Vextar continued. They have been preparing for this type of invasion without even knowing it. Preparing for invasion from whom? Zixtella demanded. From each other, sir. Human nations have been fighting each other in jungle environments for thousands of years. Every technique they are using against us was developed to defeat other humans, opponents who knew the terrain as well as they did and had similar technology levels. The implications were staggering. The Galactic Empire had encountered many primitive species, but none that had spent millennia developing ways to fight opponents with superior technology. Human jungle warfare was specifically designed to neutralize advantages in equipment, numbers, and firepower. In the Amazon rainforest, Master Sergeant Maria Santos was coordinating the final phase of what the Earth Defense Coalition called Operation Green Hell. The aliens had finally committed their reserve forces, 3 full divisions with air support, attempting to clear the jungle regions through overwhelming force. Jaguar leader to all units, she transmitted through the biological communication network. Big Sky is falling. Repeat, Big Sky is falling. All teams execute Scenario Omega. Across the jungle, confirmation signals came back from hundreds of Special Forces operatives representing 43 different nations. Scenario Omega was the plan they had hoped never to use. The complete integration of jungle warfare with captured alien technology over the past week. Human forces have been carefully studying destroyed alien equipment. Military engineers working with Special Forces teams had learned to modify alien sensors, weapons, and communication systems. But instead of trying to use the technology the way the aliens did, humans had adapted it for jungle warfare. Captain James Sinclair crouched in a treetop position, watching through alien optical enhancers as the Imperial forces approached. The aliens had learned from their previous defeats and were now using massive firepower to clear the vegetation ahead of their advance. Energy weapons vaporize trees while heavy vehicles push through the cleared areas. Clever, Sinclair murmured to his team. But they still don't understand the jungle. The alien strategy would have worked against conventional forces. By removing the vegetation, they eliminated hiding places and created clear fields of fire. But human jungle warfare was not about hiding behind trees. It was about becoming part of the ecosystem itself. As the alien forces moved into the cleared zone, they triggered the largest coordinated attack in Earth's military history. Human forces had spent days preparing the battlefield, using both traditional techniques and captured alien technology in ways their creators never imagined. The first wave of the attack came from underground. Human combat engineers had used alien mining equipment to create a network of tunnels beneath the jungle floor. When triggered, these tunnels collapsed in precise patterns, creating massive sinkholes that swallowed entire alien formations. The second wave came from the air, but not where the aliens expected. Human forces had rigged the forest canopy with alien anti-gravity generators, creating platforms that could rise silently above the trees. Surface-to-air missiles fired from these hidden platforms destroyed most of the alien air support before they could react, but the third wave was the most devastating. Human forces had learned to use alien communication systems to hack into Imperial military networks. While the aliens were focused on the ground battle, their own orbital support vessels received what appeared to be legitimate targeting data, coordinates, that sent orbital bombardment strikes directly onto Imperial ground. Forces, the aliens found themselves being destroyed by their own weapons, coordinated by their own communication systems, while fighting an enemy that seemed to materialize from the Earth itself on the stellar dominion. The bridge was in chaos as reports flooded in from the surface. "Sir, we have lost contact with the entire 7th Division. Orbital Platform 3 is reporting that they accidentally fired on our own forces. The 9th and 12th companies are requesting immediate evacuation. All air support in Sector 5 has been eliminated." Commander Zixthala watched his invasion force disintegrate in real time. But the final shock came when Vextar approached with a datapad showing intercepts of human communications. "Sir, we have discovered something disturbing about Human Special Forces organization. We initially estimated 50,000 personnel with jungle warfare training. The actual number appears to be closer to 500,000. That is impossible. No species maintains such a large proportion of elite forces. Sir, humans do not consider jungle warfare to be elite training. For them, it is basic military education. Nearly every human nation trains some portion of their forces in wilderness survival and unconventional tactics. What we have been fighting is not their special forces, it is their standard military capability." The datapad showed training facilities across Earth where millions of human soldiers had learned basic jungle warfare skills. More frighteningly, it showed civilian organizations where humans practiced wilderness survival as recreation. "Vextar, are you telling me that humans learn jungle warfare for entertainment?" "Yes, sir. They call it camping, hiking, and outdoor recreation. Millions of human civilians spend their free time learning to survive in wilderness environments. When the invasion began, these civilians joined their military forces." Zixthala realized that the Empire had not just misunderstood human military capability, they had misunderstood human civilization entirely. Earth's population was not composed of city dwellers who feared nature. It was composed of a species that had never stopped being part of the natural world. Even as they developed technology, the final communication from Colonel Sarah Mitchell came as Imperial forces were attempting a full retreat to their landing zones. "Commander Zixthala of the Imperial Dreadnought Stellar Dominion, this is Colonel Mitchell. Our forces have completely surrounded your remaining ground troops. Your orbital vessels are being targeted by captured Imperial weapon systems that we now control. Your options are simple: immediate and complete withdrawal from Earth, or total destruction of your invasion fleet. You cannot possibly threaten Imperial vessels from the surface of a primitive world, Zixtela transmitted back. Commander, 47 minutes ago, your own orbital bombardment platforms began targeting your ships instead of Earth's surface. Your communication networks are compromised. Your targeting systems are under our control, and your ground forces no longer exist as an effective fighting unit. You are defeated. As if to emphasize the point, energy beams from Imperial orbital platforms began striking the outer edges of the fleet. The weapons were being fired with human precision, targeting non-critical systems to demonstrate capability without causing massive casualties. Admiral Quexton's emergency hologram appeared on the bridge, his expression one of complete disbelief. Commander, explain to me how a primitive species has gained control of Imperial military systems. Admiral, the humans are not primitive. They are specialists in asymmetrical warfare who have a... Commander Zixtela stood on the bridge of the Imperial dreadnought Stellar Dominion, its massive form casting shadows across 3 moons as it approached the small blue planet. The holographic display showed detailed scans of Earth's surface, and the Caltharian commander's mandibles clicked in amusement at what the sensors revealed. Look at this primitive world, Zixtela gestured to his subordinates with one of his 4 arms. 70% water, and the land masses are covered in chaotic plant growth. No proper cities spanning continents, no orbital platforms. No energy shields protecting their pathetic settlements. Sub-Commander Vextar, a smaller Caltharian with newer military implants, studied the readings carefully. Sir, our intelligence reports indicate the humans have some military capability. They have developed nuclear weapons and have conducted warfare for thousands of their years. Zixtela's laugh was a harsh clicking sound that echoed through the bridge. Nuclear weapons? How quaint. We stopped using such crude devices 8,000 years ago. And their warfare? He pulled up images of human conflicts. They fight in their dirt and mud, hiding behind rocks and trees like primitive animals. They have never faced a truly advanced civilization. The bridge crew, a mix of different alien species all serving the Galactic Empire, joined in the commander's amusement. The Vylorians with their crystalline bodies clinked musically, while the gas-form Nethids created swirling patterns of contempt. Observe their military bases, Zixtela continued, zooming in on various locations, scattered across their continents with no unified command structure. And look at these areas they call wilderness training grounds. They send their soldiers to crawl through dirt and vegetation, pretending this makes them strong. It is laughable. The tactical officer, a Vylorian named Jexenos, brought up additional data. Commander, our scouts report that many human military units spend considerable time in what they term jungle warfare training. They seem to believe that learning to survive in plant-dense environments is important for combat readiness. Jungle warfare? Zixtela's mandibles clicked faster. They train in gardens? This proves how backward they are. Real warfare is conducted in space, with energy weapons and shield technology. What use is hiding behind plants when orbital bombardment can clear any terrain in seconds? Sub-Commander Vextar pulled up more detailed reports. Sir, there are specific human units that specialize in this environment. They call themselves various names: Green Berets, SAS, Navy SEALs, Spetsnaz, and others. Intelligence suggests these units are highly regarded among human military forces. The commander's laughter intensified. Specialized units for playing in vegetation? This becomes more amusing by the moment. In the Empire, we have warriors trained to fight in the vacuum of space. Soldiers who can survive on gas giants, Marines capable of combat on molten worlds. And these humans think learning to hide in bushes makes them elite? Admiral Quexton, the expedition's senior commander, joined the conversation via hologram from the fleet flagship. Commander Zixtela, I trust the reconnaissance is proceeding as planned. Indeed, Admiral. This world will fall within days. Their most elite forces are trained for outdoor camping rather than real warfare. We could conquer this planet with a single battalion of our standard troops. Admiral Quexton nodded approvingly. Excellent. The High Council expects a swift victory here. Earth's location makes it strategically valuable for the next phase of expansion. Ensure that minimal Imperial resources are expended in this conquest. Of course, Admiral. I estimate we will need no more than 48 standard hours to achieve complete surrender. Their special forces will likely surrender immediately when faced with proper military technology. As the conversation ended, the tactical display showed new information. Several human military installations had gone dark, their communications suddenly ceasing. Other bases showed increased activity, with personnel movements suggesting evacuation or mobilization. "Sir," reported Jexenos, "it appears the humans have detected our approach. Multiple military facilities are showing response patterns." "As expected," Zixtela replied dismissively. "They are probably preparing their surrender documents. No intelligent species would attempt to fight the Empire with such primitive capabilities." Vextar studied the patterns more carefully. "Commander, the movement patterns are unusual. Many of their forces appear to be moving away from their main bases and dispersing into the wilderness areas." "Retreating to their beloved jungles, no doubt," the commander scoffed. "They probably think they can hide from our sensors among their precious trees. This will make the conquest even easier. We will simply bombard the wilderness areas until they surrender." The ship's science officer, a multi-tentacled Nethid named Fluxara, materialized near the command console. "Commander, there is something peculiar about these wilderness areas. Our long-range scans show unusual energy readings from several locations. The patterns do not match standard military equipment." Zixtela barely glanced at the data. "Probably their primitive power generation systems. Nothing that our EMP weapons cannot disable instantly. Continue with the invasion plan." As the Imperial fleet moved closer to Earth, the human response became more apparent. Military satellites were being repositioned. Communication networks were switching to encrypted channels, and most tellingly, thousands of personnel from various special operations units were disappearing into jungle areas across different continents. "Sir," Vextar said, "I am detecting movement in multiple jungle regions simultaneously. The Amazon Basin, the jungles of Southeast Asia, Central African forests, and several smaller wilderness areas. It appears coordinated." "Coordinated retreating, you mean?" Zixtela laughed. "They are probably planning to hide until we get bored and leave. This species clearly lacks the courage for real combat." The fleet's invasion force consisted of 12 dreadnoughts, 40 assault cruisers, and 200 landing craft capable of deploying 50,000 troops total. The commander had decided that deploying even a quarter of this force would be overkill for such a primitive world. "Prepare landing operations," Zixtela ordered. "We will establish primary beachheads at their major population centers: New York, London, Tokyo, Moscow, Beijing. Once these fall, the rest of their planet will surrender immediately." "What about the forces in the wilderness areas?" asked Vextar. "We will deal with them after the main conquest. How much trouble can a few thousand primitives hiding in bush possibly cause? Our armor is impervious to their projectile weapons, our shields stop their explosives, and our sensors can track them through any vegetation." As the first wave of landing craft launched toward Earth's major cities, another officer reported new developments. "Commander, we are receiving multiple communications from the planet's surface. Some appear to be surrender offers from civilian governments. Others are unusual." "Let me hear the surrender offers first," Zixtela commanded. The communications officer activated the speakers. Several messages played in sequence. Panicked governments offering immediate capitulation, civilian leaders begging for mercy, and military commanders formally surrendering their forces. "Excellent," the commander said with satisfaction. "Play the unusual messages." The next series of communications was different. They came from jungle locations and seemed to be directed not at the invasion fleet, but at various other locations on Earth. "Ghost leader to all Phantom units. The party has started. Remember your training? Viper team acknowledging. We have eyes on multiple boogies. Weapons are hot. Jaguar Squadron reporting. Jungle is our home. Time to show these visitors our hospitality. Green Devils ready? Let's teach these aliens why humans own the night. Zixthala's mandibles clicked in annoyance. Nonsense chatter from defeated primitives. Ignore these transmissions and focus on the primary objectives. The landing craft reached Earth's atmosphere without resistance. No fighter aircraft rose to meet them, no surface-to-air missiles were fired, and no orbital defenses activated. It seemed the human military was indeed offering no organized resistance. This is proceeding exactly as predicted, the commander told his staff. Establish communications with the surrendering governments and prepare occupation protocols. But as the first Imperial troops began landing in major cities, the situation in the wilderness areas was developing differently than anyone on the Imperial fleet expected. Deep in the Amazon rainforest, Master Sergeant Maria Santos of the Brazilian Special Forces crouched silently next to a massive tree, her camouflage making her invisible even from 3 meters away. Through her scope, she watched an Imperial scout ship performing sensor sweeps of the jungle. The alien technology was impressive, but it was designed to detect standard military equipment and energy signatures. It was not designed to find humans who had learned to become part of the jungle itself. Anaconda 2 to Anaconda Leader, she whispered into her throat mic. Target acquired. Range 800 meters. Alien scout ship, 2 occupants visible through the canopy. Anaconda Leader copies. All units report status. Across the Amazon region, 47 different special operations soldiers reported ready. They were scattered across hundreds of square kilometers, each invisible to alien sensors, each armed with weapons specifically chosen for jungle warfare. Meanwhile, The first 48 hours had not gone according to Commander Zixthala's plan. While major cities had indeed fallen with minimal resistance, the situation in Earth's wilderness areas was becoming increasingly problematic. The Stellar Dominion's bridge now buzzed with confused activity as reports flooded in from across the planet. Status report, Zixthala demanded. His mandibles clicking with growing irritation, Sub-Commander Vexstar consulted his datapad with obvious reluctance. Sir, we have lost contact with 17 scout ships, 8 forward observation posts, and 2 full companies of ground troops. All incidents have occurred in heavily forested regions. Equipment malfunctions? Unlikely, sir. The pattern is too consistent. Moreover, we have recovered some wreckage. Vexstar activated the holographic display showing twisted metal and burned components. These ships were destroyed by weapons we have not yet identified. Zixthala studied the wreckage images carefully. The damage patterns were unlike anything in Imperial combat databases. What type of weapons could cause this destruction while remaining undetected by our sensors? That is what concerns me, sir. According to our surviving troops, the attacks seem to come from nowhere. Soldiers report seeing nothing, hearing only minimal sound. Then finding their equipment destroyed and their comrades missing. Admiral Quexthan's hologram materialized on the bridge, his expression stern. Commander, I am receiving disturbing reports about the Earth operation. Explain the delays. Admiral, we are encountering unexpected resistance from indigenous forces using unconventional tactics. The situation is under control, but requires adjustment of our strategy. Adjustment? The Admiral's tone was dangerously cold. You assured me this world would fall in 48 hours. It has been 72 hours, and we apparently cannot secure basic forest areas on a primitive planet. Sir, the humans have proven more adaptable than intelligence suggested. They are using the local vegetation as cover in ways we did not anticipate. Admiral Quexthan's image leaned forward menacingly. Commander, are you telling me that the mighty Galactic Empire is being defeated by plants? Meanwhile, deep in the Philippine jungle, Staff Sergeant Miguel Reyes of the Philippine Scout, Rangers crept silently through undergrowth so thick that the alien sensors could not penetrate it. He had been moving for 6 hours without making a sound louder than a falling leaf through his camouflaged position. He observed an Imperial patrol of 8 soldiers in powered armor, their weapons sweeping the jungle methodically. The aliens were using standard grid search patterns. That would have been effective on open terrain or in conventional warfare. They had no understanding of jungle warfare. Miguel keyed his throat mic with one barely perceptible click, a signal to his team scattered throughout the area. The aliens were walking directly into a trap that had taken 3 days to prepare. The patrol leader, a large Caltharian, gestured to his squad. Sector 7 appears clear. No energy signatures detected? These humans cannot hide from our sensors indefinitely. One of the younger aliens, nervous about the jungle environment, spoke up. Sir, perhaps we should request orbital bombardment of this entire region. Clear away the vegetation and force them into open ground. Negative. High Command wants this world intact for colonization. We will find these primitives and crush them properly. As the patrol moved forward, Miguel's training took over. He had learned jungle warfare from experts who had been refining these techniques for generations. Every movement was calculated, every breath controlled, every step placed to avoid the slightest sound. The aliens walked past his position, their heavy armor and electronic equipment making them clumsy in the dense environment. They relied completely on their technology, never learning to read the jungle itself. Miguel's first shot was not fired at the aliens. Instead, he used a crossbow to cut a carefully prepared rope. High above, a massive log swung down on the pendulum path, smashing into the patrol's rear guard and creating chaos in their formation before the aliens could react. The jungle erupted with precisely coordinated fire. Miguel's team had positioned themselves to create a perfect crossfire pattern. They used weapons specifically chosen for jungle warfare, suppressed rifles, crossbows, and modified grenades that created minimal electronic signatures. The alien-powered armor was impressive, but it was designed for conventional combat. The Philippine Rangers had spent weeks learning its weak points, and their attacks targeted joints, vision slits, and sensor arrays with surgical precision within 90 seconds. The 8-man patrol was completely neutralized. The Rangers melted back into the jungle, leaving no trace except the destroyed alien equipment. Similar scenes were playing out across the globe. In the Amazon, Brazilian special forces were using the river systems to move undetected, appearing from the water like ghosts to attack alien positions before vanishing again. In the Congo, soldiers moved through the forest canopy, traveling for kilometers without touching the ground, striking from directions the aliens never expected. Back on the Imperial flagship, the situation reports were becoming increasingly grim. Sir, reported the intelligence officer, we have lost another 2 companies in Southeast Asia. Additionally, 3 supply convoys have been completely destroyed while attempting to reach forward positions. Zixtela slammed one of his 4 fists on the command console. How are these primitives destroying our supply lines? Our convoys are escorted by armored vehicles and air support. According to surviving reports, sir, the attacks utilize the terrain in ways we have not encountered before. The humans appear to be using the jungle environment as a weapon system. Explain that statement. Jaxinos brought up tactical recordings from surviving vehicles. Observe this footage from Convoy 7's destruction. The holographic display showed an Imperial supply convoy moving down a jungle road. The vehicles were properly spaced, weapons ready, sensors active. Everything appeared normal until the road simply collapsed, dropping 2 transport vehicles into a pit filled with sharpened stakes before the convoy could react. Trees began falling across the road from both directions, blocking escape routes. Then the jungle itself seemed to open fire. Muzzle flashes appeared from positions that sensors insisted were empty. Weapons fired from trees that appeared to be dead wood. And explosions erupted from devices that had been invisible to Imperial detection equipment. The humans have learned to make themselves invisible to our technology, Jaxinos continued. They use natural materials to mask their signatures. They move in ways that our motion sensors do not recognize. And they attack with weapons that appear to be part of the environment until activated. Vexstar added more disturbing intelligence. Sir, we have intercepted some of their communications. The humans refer to themselves by various designations, Green Berets, Rangers, SEALs, SAS, Spetsnaz, and others. Each group appears to have specialized knowledge of jungle warfare techniques. How many of these special forces could this primitive planet possibly have? Our estimates suggest at least 50,000 personnel with advanced jungle warfare training, sir. However, their effectiveness is multiplied by their knowledge of the local terrain and their use of unconventional tactics. Commander Zixtela was beginning to realize that his understanding of human warfare had been fundamentally flawed. These were not primitive soldiers hiding in vegetation. They were specialists who had turned the jungle environment into a sophisticated weapon system in the Amazon rainforest. Master Sergeant Maria Santos was coordinating with teams across multiple countries through a communication network that used the jungle itself as a transmission medium. Fiber optic cables ran through tree branches. Radio signals were bounced off natural rock formations, and messages were passed through networks that appeared to be part of the forest ecosystem. Jaguar leader to all units, she transmitted. Alien reinforcement column approaching Grid Alpha 7, estimated 60 vehicles. Air support approximately 800 personnel across the jungle network. Confirmation came back from dozens of teams. Brazilian Rangers, British SAS, American Green Berets, Russian Spetsnaz, Indian Army Commandos, and special forces from 20 other nations had all put aside their differences to coordinate against the alien invasion. Copy, Jaguar leader. Viper team has prepared the welcome mat. Phantom squad acknowledging. Charges are set. Wolfpack in position. These aliens are about to learn why we call it guerrilla warfare. The alien reinforcement column was massive by Earth standards, enough firepower to level a city. But as it moved through the jungle roads, it was entering an environment where numbers and firepower meant nothing without understanding the terrain. Captain James Sinclair of the SAS crouched in a tree 40 meters above the road, completely invisible in his ghillie suit. Below him, the alien column moved with typical Imperial confidence. Their vehicles spaced properly, their air support maintaining standard patrol patterns. Right then, he whispered to his spotter. Time to show these aliens what asymmetrical warfare really means. The first sign of trouble came when the lead vehicle triggered a pressure mine designed to look like fallen debris. The explosion didn't just destroy the vehicle, it brought down 3 massive trees that had been carefully weakened and positioned to fall across the road before the aliens could RSH.